Hello, I'm Drew Carney with your weekly recap, catching you up on some of the biggest stories of the past week. That includes where Portland City councilors are looking to make budget cuts as the city continues to deal with a $93 million deficit. Plus, a Portland Catholic school principal out of a job after a heated confrontation with the parents of a student at the school. And a new way to commute through the Portland metro area from Vancouver to Oregon City on the Willamette, what it would take to make the Ferry plan a reality.
I do think that we should get to the amendments to take money from police and give it to parks, because that's the main event. That's what the fans paid to see.
Top story this week, a controversial move by City Council to move $2 million earmarked for Portland Police to the city's Parks and Recreation Department. Council members voted 7-5 to approve the transfer. Portland Police Chief Bob Day, meanwhile, says that $2 million his department will lose would have helped with recruitment, hiring, and retention. He told City Council this week that any reduction in money for the Bureau could come with consequences.
There will be a reduction in services. How those services will show up, I don't know yet.
Meanwhile, the city's Parks and Rec Department said the $2 million would help pay for cleaning, graffiti removal, roof repairs, and maintenance at dog parks, playgrounds, trails, and more.
Sustaining this funding is vital for Portland's parks to remain clean, safe, and functional.
In a statement, Mayor Keith Wilson said, in part, we're looking at how the decision to remove $1.9 million in proposed police funding may impede our efforts to recruit a next generation of law enforcement. He went on to say we can't let our continuing high crime rates, response times, and livability issues go unaddressed. During Wednesday's marathon 15-hour City Council session, councilors introduced over 100 amendments to Mayor Wilson's proposed budget, including the idea of cutting funds to Prosper Portland. Now, that idea didn't wind up passing, but it would have cut $11 million from the general fund of Portland's economic developmental arm. Councilors supporting the idea said it made sense because Prosper Portland has other funding options.
This is a targeted, responsible step that allows us to redirect $11 million in general fund dollars to keep Portland parks open, shore up our permitting system, and to invest in true economic development.
Prosper Portland leaders countered, saying taking money from them could have a negative impact as well. People testified both for and against this. Some said it makes sense to curb Prosper Portland's budget, while some small business owners said those cuts could have big repercussions.
Why are we bailing out business owners? Why can't they bail out themselves?
I think that's what's at stake is people that have grown their business slowly but surely, and they could lose that ongoing support.
There are still a few steps to take before city councilors take a final vote on Portland's full budget coming up next month. Portland City Council did vote this week 11-1 to increase residents' water and sewer bills. So that rate hike will start July 1st. KGW's John Adams breaks down the bottom line for your bill.
The ordinance is passed with 11 yes votes and 1 no.
Running your tap in the city of Portland will cost you more money. A 6.3% combined water and sewer increase will start showing up on customers' bills in either July or August, depending on your billing cycle.
When customers open their tap, we want to deliver clean, safe drinking water.
Priya Danapal, Deputy City Administrator for Public Works, tells us the city would be falling behind on upkeep to the system and would have trouble meeting federal and state regulations if the increase wasn't passed. Also on the way, a 2.9% processing fee for people who use a debit or credit card to pay their bill.
We've been absorbing the cost for the credit card and debit card transaction fees over the years, and that's added up to millions of dollars. And ultimately, it's the ratepayers who are absorbing those costs.
Those paying with cash or a checking account won't have to pay that fee.
I know that all of our families are really struggling, and any increase right now is difficult.
But Portland City Council President Alana Pertle-Guiney, who voted in favor of the rate increase, says it's needed despite the hardship it may cause.
These are increases that allow us to meet the needs of our utility systems. And when we put those increases off, we see exponentially larger increases later.
John Adams, KGW News.
In other news this week, an 18-year-old driver faced a judge over the death of his teenage passenger. Authorities say Aiden Hurd, you saw him just a moment ago, was driving an off-road vehicle on private property on Sauvie Island when it crashed, killing his 17-year-old passenger. Hurd is also accused of driving under the influence. On Monday, the parents of the girl who died appeared in court through video and asked the judge to show leniency.
Well, Aiden might be just 18 years old. He is so young and deserves a chance to build his life. He made a mistake that so many other people have made, but it does not cost them their future. We're pleading with this court not to ruin Aiden's life. He will suffer enough, and it will not bring our daughter back. And in fact, it is not something she would have wanted, and it will tarnish her memory.
Their daughter went to school in Scappoose. The school district there had extra staff and counselors on hand this past week to support students. Investigators in Southern Oregon wrapped up a search this week at a wild animal park, seizing more than 300 animals from the site. Authorities say this followed a lengthy investigation into how the West Coast Game Park Safari near Bandon was caring for animals, along with questions about permits and business practices. Most of the animals were moved to other sanctuaries or rescue centers, but at least 3 of them had to be euthanized. Records show the park had already faced recent violations, including malnourished big cats and food that was stored in trash cans contaminated by rodents. The principal of a Northeast Portland private Catholic school was fired weeks after a heated confrontation with the parents of a black student at the school. The principal called 911 during that exchange. The parents said they were meeting with the principal to talk about their 4th grade son, who says he was called a racial slur at the school. KGW's Libby Dowsett has more after audio was released this week from that 911 call.
911, what is the address of your emergency?
Yes, I've got an emergency at 3240 Southeast 23rd. Parents at a school yelling and refusing to leave.
Former Principal Teresa Rast calls 911 from the Madeline School March 31st. You can hear the voices in the background as Rast answers the operator's questions.
Do you know what their names are?
No.
Okay, and are they white, black, Hispanic, Asian?
Second one.
Rast tells the operator she doesn't want to hang up. A few minutes later, she's heard interacting with the parents.
And you want to nail me to a cross over and over and over again, and it's not productive. I'm right here advocating for your child who did come sit in my chair in my office and does trust me. And that's fine. Well, then he acts like he does. Well, he acts like he does. Talks to me all the time. So, oh my God.
You can't hear the parents' voices clearly on the recording, but Kara Stoudemire Phillips and her husband, Mike Phillips, told us in person earlier this month they had rushed to the school to comfort their son after a racial slur may have been directed at him and to question how leadership was going to respond. They said they were met with defensiveness by then Principal Rast.
We were just wanting answers. And she stated that, if we don't trust her, then we can take him out. He can go somewhere else.
She yelled at us, if you don't trust me, then why do you even have him at the school?
Why do you want him to have this terrible relationship with the school? Then why do you have him here? Well, I'm the one leading the pack here. Sorry.
A few seconds later,
I'm sorry, you have to be able to partner with Father B and I if you want to be at the school.
Phillips telling KGW he questioned Principal Rast's motivation for calling police.
If it was a threat, how come it's fine now? Mm-hmm. You did that because you could. Mm-hmm. You did that because you understood the ramifications of it to me. And it's not right, it's not fair, and it could have turned out very different.
Portland police responded to the school, but were told they were no longer needed. The couple's son was then expelled. The family told they needed to seek school elsewhere. Rast's attorney saying his client was reportedly put on leave for her own personal safety, now confirming she was fired. Libby Dowsett, KGW News.
Next up here in our weekly recap is Depoe Bay, where a decades-long Memorial Day tradition is the target of a boycott. Charter boat captains say the city is hurting their businesses by hitting them with some new fees, and that includes a new storage fee for crab pots, along with a fuel surcharge that captains say has them refueling in other ports in an effort to save money. The city says the fees help cover services and maintenance at the harbor, but those we heard from say this could really impact their businesses.
They're really trying to pass that on to the mortgage holders of Depoe Bay and businesses here, and it's finally to that point where we need to say something. Enough is enough, and we're sick of it.
So the captains say they're pulling out of the Fleet of Flowers event that's meant to remember those lost at sea. It will still happen Monday morning on Memorial Day, but without several of those charter boats. Back here in Portland, supporters of the Frog Ferry plan are trying to revive efforts to establish a ferry system along the Willamette. So here's how it would work. 7 different ferries would make stops, 9 stops altogether between Vancouver and Oregon City, stopping near the Moda Center, OMSI, Milwaukee, and Lake Oswego. Each all-electric ferry boat would carry about roughly 100 passengers. Supporters say the time to make this happen is right now.
And it was a group of concerned citizens who just said, hey, really from a community development and vitality perspective, why aren't we using our rivers to navigate around Portland?
Not surprisingly, the big hang-up here is the cost. Supporters of Frog Ferry are asking for $10 million each from both the city of Portland and the state of Oregon for funding. This idea gained some traction a few years ago, but Portland city councilors at the time and other city leaders ultimately voted it down.
Hello, and thank you for streaming us on KGW Plus. I'm meteorologist Chris McGinnis in for Rod Hill today. Let's get right into your Memorial Day holiday weekend because it's mostly really nice. Let's say 2 out of 3 ain't bad, right? The 2 that are really nice, Saturday and Sunday. So Saturday's high 82 with full sunshine. Sunday, I think the only thing that knocks our temperature down a couple of degrees will be some increasing clouds ahead of our next weather maker offshore. I'll get more into that in a second, but that'll probably shave the temperature down and bring in a few high clouds. Otherwise, Saturday and Sunday look really nice. Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, there is at least the outside chance of a shower or thunderstorm popping along and east of the Cascades. This is the outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. No severe weather anticipated, but at least a threat for some thunder across that part of the state. And I'll show you why in just a second. Here's Futurecast for Saturday. Not much going on. A lot of sun, Oregon, Washington, out into Idaho. It's just gorgeous start to the weekend. All right, here we go on Sunday. Our next weather maker offshore, it gets closer. The south flow ahead of that, rolling right up the Cascades, along with the daytime heating, could be just enough to get some showers popping. Again, along and east of the Cascades. So if you're heading over to Central Oregon, Bend, Sun River for the holiday weekend, or East Gorge, Columbia Basin, out into the Wallowas. Not necessarily the Wallowas, at least not initially Sunday, but by late Sunday, there could be some showers popping there as well. The point is that east of the Cascades, there's at least a chance of a shower or thunder shower Sunday afternoon. All right, by Sunday night, that offshore system sweeps onshore. It will be wet at the Oregon coast Memorial Day Monday in the morning. I think there's a pretty good chance that that front will clear the coast by midday, and it probably clears the valley by afternoon, leaving us with more sun breaks than anything on Memorial Day Monday by afternoon. Rainfall with this system would be pretty light, generally under a few hundredths of an inch in the valley. More than that, obviously, at the coast and in the Coast Range, but generally we're not talking about a significant rainmaker across the state. What we are talking about is a significant warming trend from where we've been. Now, mind you, we have not hit 70 degrees at Portland since May 10th. It's been almost 2 weeks when we hit 71 actually. The average number of 70-degree days in any given May, by the way, a dozen. We're on par with that. We had some 80s earlier in the month. We're going to add a few more 80-degree days in my 7-day forecast. And hold on, I point this out. Average first 90 on any given year. Records at PDX go back to 1942. So throughout that period of record, the mean first 90-degree day of the summer is actually in the spring, June 18th. I bring that up because 90 may be within reach in our 7-day forecast, and I'll get to that in a second. In the short term, Friday, again, turning the corner into some warmer, drier weather for the weekend, and we finished the day off in the 70s. Again, the first time that we've done that in almost 2 weeks. Sunny and gorgeous on Saturday. No rain expected across the state, entire state on Saturday. Sunday, again, there is that shower threat east of the Cascades, but Sunday, the Willamette Valley should be nice. Monday, Memorial Day, I think we do have some showers, especially in the morning. The emphasis here, though, is on light showers or light rain, right? We're not cumulatively, maybe a few hundredths of an inch, that's all. And then some sun breaks in the afternoon with highs near 70. We bounce right back up into the upper 70s to perhaps 80 degrees on Tuesday, and then inching into the upper 80s on Wednesday, brief cool down Thursday, and then maybe even warmer weather coming our way towards the end of next week. I don't want to just blow past the weekend, but we are recording this on a Friday morning. A lot of you likely watching this on Saturday or Sunday. So let's dive into the beyond the range of our extended forecast. This is the outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. May 30th through June 5th. So again, beyond the range of our 7-day. And it does hedge towards above average temperatures then taking hold across parts of the Northwest. Let me show you one other thing that maybe helps reinforce that. This is the 500 millibar thicknesses. That's fancy jargon for the upper air pattern. We've got some cooler air. This is with the trough that comes through on Memorial Day. So there's our cooler weather with the showers. That is a short-lived or fast-moving system. That pivots on out of here. By Wednesday, high pressure firmly building back in. So that looks like a really warm day. It gets knocked down a little bit by that Gulf of Alaska low. And then look at the warmth rebuilding as we get into later next week. So this is going into the final weekend of May, not this weekend, but next weekend. The European model indicating a potentially a stout ridge building over our area for a couple of days. If that materializes, that wouldn't be just temperatures in the upper 80s, but potentially mid-90s in our forecast for the last weekend in May. So stay tuned on that. Obviously, there's some moving pieces in this forecast. A lot can happen between now and then, but something that we are keeping our eyes on as we roll onward in the month of May. Thanks for streaming us, and I hope you have a great Memorial Day holiday weekend.
And that's a wrap on your weekly recap. I'm Drew Carney. Remember, you can catch up on the latest headlines anytime on KGW.com, the KGW News app, or on the KGW YouTube channel.